Good morning, welcome to your practice. Today we're going to explore the idea of enoughness in the moment. We don't have to fill our moments with more thinking, more doing, in order for them to be rich. It's this attitude of non-striving. So drawing the hands to the heart space, take a moment to reflect upon where in your life do you strive? Do you fill your moments with more thinking, more doing? Setting the intention of the enoughness in this moment. Contentment with things just as they are. Notice the swelling of the breath in the chest, maybe in the belly and the low back. Bringing to life our intent and feeling the enoughness of the moment. Bowing the head to the heart, sealing in our intention. Let's begin in a child's pose. The knees will come wide, toes will come to touch. Side bodies are long. The tailbone reaches towards the heels as the thigh bones lay heavy on the calves and the shins heavy on the earth. Come back to the swelling of the breath. The rise on the inhale, the fall on the exhale. The right arm will reach up to the ceiling. Thread the needle in a child's pose. The right cheek falls to the earth. The left rib cage follows down. The hips are still heavy on the heels. Wiggle out through the toes and make sure you're not creating tension in the soles of the feet or the tops of the feet. This idea of enoughness, slowing the pace of life, slowing the pace of our practice, so we can truly drop in and feel our moments. The right arm will reach up. Switch it out. Right hand places forward. Left arm reaches up. Child's pose, thread the needle. The breath continues to swell the caverns of the lungs. The left arm reaches up. Walk the hands back towards the hips. Stack the shoulders on top of the hips. Take the shoulders, roll them down away from the ears. This helps to stabilize the shoulders on the back of the body. Then the right ear falls to the right shoulder. The left palm's going to reach down, fingertips become alive, and then the back of the palm moves back behind the hips. Chin falls down to the chest, moving over to the other side. The right palm flips up, the arm moves behind the hips. The chin falls down to the chest, the hands come to touch the back of the skull. Now, using the hands as a basket, press the back of the head into the hands as you lift up through the heart. And as you lift up, feel the undercage of the ribcage scoop underneath. That scooping of the ribcage, the hugging in of the belly, and the dropping of the tailbone allows for expansion in the chest. On the exhale breath, the elbows come in towards one another, rounding out through the back, hollowing in through the front line of the body. And then we'll open up the elbows, lift the heart up. Elbows move together, back rounds, chin tucks into chest. Rounding out through the low back as well. And then we'll lift into an extension. Make sure that the belly is hugging in and up to support that lumbar spine. It's freely hanging out there. It only has the abdominal muscles and the connective tissue that surround it for its support. Last round, breath in. Resting the hands down by your side. Walking the hands forward, right in front of the shoulders, curl the toes underneath in downward facing dog. Walk the feet 2 or 3 steps up so the heels ground down. The right hand will move in the middle of the mat. The left arm will come to the right ankle. Shift some weight into the left foot and gaze underneath the right armpit, and then slide the shoulders down away from the ears and breathe into a spinal rotation. Can you touch the richness of the moment? Then switching it out, left hand comes in the middle of the mat, the right hand comes to the left ankle. Gaze underneath the left armpit. And take the time to linger. Our moments are fleeting, so we release the urge to rush through them. Release the hands, downward facing dog. Walk the hands to meet the feet at the back of your space. Infinity grip. The right hand comes behind the right calf and plants on top of the left shin. The left hand comes behind the left calf, taps, connects on top of the right shin. Now keep the toes soft, but roll the weight forward into the balls of the feet and hang the head heavy. So where is it in your life that you strive to complete more, to compete to be the best, to outdo? Can you touch the richness of the moment and the simplicity of the breath? Switching out the hands, opposite arm goes on top. Continue to shift the weight forward into the balls of your feet. There's a gentle lifting up of the inner arches, so the midline of the body turns on. Release the hands. Find the inner line of the body as you slowly roll up. The tailbone will lengthen right in between the feet, stacking one backbone on top of the next. And then roll the shoulders down away from the ears. Let the skeleton of the body organize itself in the way that it wishes. And then you direct your focus into the places you choose to engage. So grounding through the feet, lifting up through the inner thighs, strong pelvic bowl by drawing the belly in and up, mountain pose. Right hand grabs the left wrist, side body stretch up and over, ground down through the left big toe mound. Roll the right rib underneath and take breath. Now the feet are cemented into the earth by the pull of gravity. And switch, left hand to right wrist, side body stretch up and over. Roll the left rib underneath, the right rib comes on top. Keep the pelvis neutral. Release the hands, interlace them at the low back. Chest expansion, knuckles reach past the tailbone. The pelvis moves forward, the weight shifts slightly into the heels. Then roll the arm bones back. Reach the knuckles straight down, straight wrists. Bend at the knees, forward fold with the chest expansion, bending through the right knee, gazing over to the left. Good. There's a tendency to want to hold the head up, but when we hold the head up, we lose connection of that breath to the brain, cutting off the air supply or constricting the air supply. And then release, bending through the left leg, gazing over to the right. Release the hands. Walk the hands forward into a high plank. Lower down onto the knees. The chest lowers down to the earth. The forehead grounds down. The fingertips lift up. Tense for the fingertips. Feet can be wide or shoulder width distance or hip width distance. Just ground through the tops of the feet. Lift up in a variation of cobra pose. The right shoulder is going to stay stable. The left shoulder dips in. Gaze falls to the right. So good across the chest. Deep into that shoulder. The inhale will bring the chest square to the front. The exhale will dip in through the right shoulder and gaze over. You can take the gaze down to your toes, to the left elbow. Square the chest back to center. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, either tabletop or plank, downward facing dog. Walking the feet to meet the hands. Cementing the feet into the earth by that pull of gravity and just touching upon the enoughness of this moment. That inward introspection. Being with your body, the simplicity of the breath and the simplicity of the movement. Rolling up mountain pose. Side body stretch up and over to the right. Mountain pose. Side body stretch up and over to the left. Mountain pose. Forward fold. Left leg moves high, standing splits, fingers walk out in front. The inner leg line of that right leg roots down. And we lift from the outer right hip. Lengthen through the left leg, activation through the quadricep of the left thigh. IT band, stretch the left footsteps behind the right ankle. Walk the hands in. And play with shifting the weight from the soles of the feet and feel where you get the most sensation in that outer top part of the hip. And linger in that space and fill it with the breath. You'll slide the left foot out a little further to come into cow face, so the hips will lower down. The left hand will sweep around the right thigh. You'll draw the right knee into the chest, and that right thigh bone is still dropping deep into the socket, and the chest is lifting up towards the heavens. And then switching the grip, the left hand will come to the outside of the right thigh for a spinal twist. Tent the fingers to help you elongate through the spine and then rotate. Bring the chin down and back slightly. Bring the chest back to center for cow face pose. The right knee stacks on top of the left. You can always lengthen out through the left leg or bring the right foot out in front of you if this is too much of an opening. I like to lift up on my hips and place them back down. Cow face arms. This enoughness of being with yourself in this time and in this space. Chest falls towards the right thigh. The sit bones are widening from the side, so the thigh bones are pressing to the outer hips. This is quite intense for many of us, so just feeling the breath and directing it into those places that are tight or fatigued. And allowing that intention and that breath to be enough. And slowly make your way back up. Release the hands down. The arms are nice and heavy in the socket. The right leg will extend out and come about hip height. The left leg will extend out, so we're in a half butterflies, half heroes pose. Squaring the chest over the left leg, walk the chest down to the left leg. If it's available, the right hand comes to the outside of the left foot, and you're plugging the thigh bone deep into the socket, so it's a reach of the heart to the toes and a hugging in of the hip. And then walking the hands up for half hero's pose. You're welcome to keep the left leg as it is or take it into a 90-degree bend. Walk the hands down. Forearms all the way down onto your back. Internal rotations are wonderful for the lower body. We don't often rotate the thigh bone in towards our midline. The heavier you drop your knee to the earth, the more opening you'll feel across the top of the right quad, all the way up into the pelvis, maybe down into the knees. The shins are opening, tops of the feet get some sensation as well. And then to come out of this, you'll press into the elbows. Let's see if I come onto the arms. We'll walk the hands around over to the left and tent out the fingers. Take a breath into the chest and then melt yourself forward. Inhale and exhale. One more round. Sometimes we just need to slow the pace. Walk the hands forward. You'll rock forward. Plant the hands, come into a tabletop. Cat-cow. Downward facing dog. So the press into the earth, there's a nice rebounding effect of the arm bones plugging into the shoulder sockets and the legs plugging into the hips. So we become much more integrated into our bodies. And instead of hanging out into our flexibility, we build strength around that flexibility, giving us more mobility. And then the feet will meet the hands, top of your space. Mountain pose. Side bend up and over to the right. Side bend up and over to the left. Forward fold. Right leg reaches high for standing splits. The left inner leg line grounds down. The right hip neutralizes, reaching long through that right leg. Now, how does your mentality change when you come into a more challenging or aggressive pose? One that requires a bit more effort. And can we adopt the idea of non-striving, of the enoughness of just being in the shape? The right leg will cross behind the left, rocking the weight from side to side. And then we'll slide the right leg out slightly to come into a seated position. The right arm will come to the outside of the left hip. Use the fingertips to elongate the spine. So we want that energy to be free, freely moving up and down the spine. We practice mindfulness on our mat. We begin to adapt the attitudes and the principles. To become more mindful off of our mats, more aware of how we're interacting with the world and how we're perceiving it and receiving it. Tenting out through the fingers, switching the arms, lifting up through the spine and rotating. Square the chest back to center. Bring the knees to stack on top of one another. Another option is for half shoelace, so the right leg will extend out. The right arm will lift up. This side might be completely different. You might be able to get the fingers, you may not. If the bind is too much, you can always take the hands to the elbow creases, or behind the back, take the arms to the elbow creases. And then melt yourself forward. And send that enoughness into the belly of the tension. telling the mind that it's okay, it's enough just to breathe into our sensations. And slowly lift up. Release the hands. The left leg will come into a half hero's pose. It'll come around. The right leg will extend out. Square the torso towards the right leg. Walk the hands forward. And again, you can take that left hand to the outer edge of the right foot and work to plug the right thigh into the hip. It may increase and deepen our sensations that we feel within the acetabular, the hip joint. Feeling the richness of the moment. Being conscious. If we're trying to add anything to it or take anything away from it. Then release the hands, slowly walk the hands up. Walk the hands back for half hero's pose. Again, forearms are all the way down onto your back. The right leg can remain straight or can come to 90-90. Just a different pull on the tissues in the back side of the body. Now if you press down slightly through the left top of the foot, left shin, the hip will lift slightly, increasing that sensation across the left quad. But again, note if it's coming from an attitude of striving, of accomplishing, opposed to feeling in and opening up. And then slowly we'll make our way up. Walk the hands around to the right. You're still heavy through that left quad, tenting out through the fingers, melting the chest down for a nice counter stretch. Inhaling, getting the energies of the low spine awake through our deep rotations. Walking the hands up, tabletop, cat-cow. Puppy pose. Walk the hands forward. Forehead or shin rests on the mat. The rib cage splays open, giving the chance of the diaphragm, that pump that moves the air in and out of the body. Some increased space. And then walking the hands back, bringing the hips down to the heels. The hands will grab around the heels. Tuck the chin in tightly so we move into rabbit's pose. The hips come up. That firm grip on the heels will help to open up the tops of the shoulders and the neck. Not much weight on the top of the head. And then lower the hips down. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Press the torso up or roll the torso up. And then bring the legs to extend out in front of you. Legs are mat-width distance apart, rolling down onto our spine. Hugging the knees into the chest, grabbing for the shins or the tops of the feet, the happy baby. Extend the legs out long, arms out nice and long. And the pull of gravity draws the skeleton and the muscles and the tissues and the organs of the body towards the earth, where they have a stable, secure structure to rest upon. And here is where we observe the benefits of our practice and really relish in the enoughness of this moment. Send a little movement gently into the body. And when you're ready, come into a fetal position on either side of your space. So where in your life can you gift this energy? Can you find the richness of the moment without adding anything to it, taking anything away from it? And slowly make your way up to your seat. Balancing the weight on your sit bones, the thighs grow nice and heavy, rooting you into your self, into the enoughness of this moment. Drawing your hands to your heart space, and we'll seal in our practice with 3 breaths together. Exhale out the air. Inhale. Exhale. Inspiration. Expiration. Inspiration. Expiration. Bowing the head to the heart and all the resources that live within. With light, love, gratitude, and grace. Namaste. Well done. I hope that you're able to explore these ideas of enoughness and non-striving throughout your day. With all the light and love in my heart, I hope to see you on your mat soon. Namaste.